Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 287 of our Get Your Goals annual challenge. Today, we are continuing our discussion about the contribution area and aspect of our life. This area of the life framework that we use to discover and kind of add some structure to our lives that are, I don't know about yours, but mine's usually pretty chaotic, is a 9-part framework: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, communication, and confidence. We've talked about all of those areas each month this year, one each month this year. And finally, we're on the area of contribution. Contribution is a really interesting one because it's all about how do we show up in the world? How do we interact with the outside world and things outside of us? The other areas to me seem to be more internally focused and more all about me. But contribution, although contribution is really all about me too, because what we give out into the world is what we get back. So I guess our whole lives are pretty much all about us. So today we're going to talk about choosing the way to contribute to the world. How do you want to show up in the world? What way is best for you? And one of the best ways we can identify this is by focusing on our strengths and our passions. And I was going to draw a big Venn diagram, with the two big circles where they interact. And that's your sweet spot. That's where you really want to spend most of your time and energy. So you have a big one, that circle, that's your strengths. You have another big circle, that's your passions. First, we're going to identify our strengths. Then we're going to discover our passions. And where those intersect, we're going to look there for areas to contribute, because that is the area that we're going to have the most power and the most energy toward showing up in the world and sharing with other people and making the world a better place. So how do we identify our strengths? No coffee yet, right? Traveling. The first thing we do is we do some self-awareness exercises. And we've been talking about self-awareness. And really this challenge is all about getting to know ourselves better so we figure out what works best for us, what makes us tick, and what we want to do going forward, or what we want to do right now, because we can only act right now, to impact our life going forward. So we focus on self-awareness. We pay attention to how things make us feel and think and react, right? We do a little, survey of our own or assessment of our own behavior, usually after the fact, right? Because we can't assess anything until it's actually happened. Then we seek feedback from friends and family and people that love and care about us, right? Now, that's one we always take with a grain of salt. Feedback is the other person's opinion and observations of you and how you show up in the world. They may be 100% valid. They may be 2% valid, but there may be a seed of information in that feedback that we can use to identify our strengths. Key here is to focus on your strengths and the things that you're good at and the things that you love to do, not on your weaknesses. I think the world at large tends to focus on what's wrong with us, which helps us to continue to do that too perpetually. And that's the exact opposite approach we want to take when it comes to creating the life that we want and our own personal goals and objectives and contributing to the world and making the world a better place. We also want to then consider taking outside assessments and using tools to help us become more self-aware, to help us understand how our beliefs and actions and behaviors, usually from the past, are impacting us now, and where those are strengths versus where those are areas that we want to maybe minimize. If you have a tendency to yell or shout whenever you get a little bit upset, that might be something you want to minimize because you don't always want to yell and shout. I think of traffic and road rage with this one. If you are, and I used to really get upset when people were rude and had road rage and were like flipping me off and things. And then I realized it isn't about me at all. It's about them and what's going on with them and their day that would cause them to flip me off because I'm just on my way to work or I'm just on my way to the store or something. So we want to consider taking outside tools and using them. There's a lot of them, like the strength finders. Usually when you're like a junior or senior in high school, you take these assessments or tests and just answer a bunch of questions. And now that the world has changed and there's technology, you can just go online. You put Strength Finder, and you'll get a whole bunch of free tools and assessments that you could use to really identify if you're like most people, you're saying, I don't know what my strengths are. I don't know what I'm good at. Take one of those tests, ask your friends and family. I guarantee your friends and family and people that you spend the most time with in terms of work or social activities, they know exactly what you're great and awesome at. And sometimes we don't know that. I was talking to somebody the other day and the most kind, giving person I've ever met. And they think that that's a weakness for them because they don't think they've gone farther enough in their life so far, right? How often do we think we should have been further along in our career or our life or our profession than we are? Or we see other people having more success than we think we do, but we don't realize they've been through their whole own journey of growth and development and trial and error and making mistakes and figuring it out and keeping moving forward to get to where they are right now. So the most important thing is to consider yourself and what you can contribute, not what anybody else or everybody else is doing. Then we want to discover our passions, right? We want to explore the interests and hobbies and things that we like to spend our time on, right? Not everybody is in a role or a job that they love. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There is no job, role, profession in our lives that we love absolutely everything about, right? I loved being a mom, but there were things I hated about it. I absolutely love being a grandma, but there's things I don't love about that, right? I love being a business owner, but there's things I don't like about that. There's always going to be components of things that we don't like. And if we focus on the things we don't like, we create more of them. If we focus on the things we do like, we get more of them. So I always say, you do what you got to do, but you focus on the things that you love about whatever it is that you're doing. So we want to explore our interests and our hobbies. What do you spend time on that you really love to do? If you love to write or read or speak, find a way to incorporate that into your way of contributing. Think of issues and causes that you resonate with. Resonate with means make you feel good or that you really want to help change in the world. If you are against a certain thing, find a positive way to contribute to that and minimize that. Again, I think a lot of times we human beings, we focus on what we don't want. We fight against cancer. We fight against war. We fight against heart disease. We push against all kinds of things that are bad in the world. But by pushing against those things, we're adding more energy to it. And again, the universe doesn't think of things as good or bad, positive or negative. They just are. So whatever gets the most energy gets more attention, and we see more of that in our world. I mean, I think we see this every day. Our news media and our social media is so negative and so focused on bad things and pointing them out to the rest of the world that it continually creates more of those things. It's why I choose not to participate in certain activities, certain type businesses, with certain types of people, because I know they suck the life out of me and they take all my energy, and I don't want that to happen. So what do we do now? Today, here's what we're going to do for an action item. We're going to list our strengths, list our interests, hobbies, the things we're passionate about, or the causes that really get us riled up and going, and we want to help change the world and make it a better place. And we're going to figure out where they intersect. And we're going to look for a creative way to combine our strengths and our passions. Because if we do that, whatever we do, however we contribute, if it's combining our strengths and our passions, we get exponentially better results than if it's just, hey, I'm really for this thing or against this thing, but I'm not playing on my strengths. If I'm doing detailed work for an organization that I care about, I'm not playing to my strengths because I am more of a big picture, not detailed person. So that would be, if they had me doing data entry or filling out envelopes or letters or something, for one, it doesn't play to my visual strengths, but it also doesn't play to my personality strengths. I would be better off doing different things, finding different ways to help fundraise or helping out at events, etc., things that involve more people. So that's it today. I think this is a fun approach. It's a different approach than I've ever used before. I've never thought about how can I combine my strengths and my passions in order to contribute more valuably and put more good out into the world. So I think it's going to be a fun activity today. Any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow. Have an awesome day.